So you realize this won't stop. There are millions of arrests made every year. The odds that a dozen or so will end up horribly, 100%. All it takes is one video to set it off. And of course, the media that inflames it. The videos are shocking. What unites them? Awful visuals. What makes them different? The stories behind them. The death of George Floyd and Tony Timpa share common traits, but they're different races, which changes how it's covered. Should it? The stats back up what I said after the Floyd killing. What you're seeing is procedural malfeasance, bad training, unbending minds, and now it's countered with an equally unbending, unlistening rage, now steering a country toward ruin. And all it takes is another video. Is there something the media can do to save us? Yeah, they can stop pushing inflammatory, uninformed opinions. Here's my prescription. The media should get a room and read the stats of police interactions and note every single mistake shown in these videos, all races included. There they might find that the culprits are actually bad tactics and training. The race part fades when you see how many whites are killed and that non-white police are more likely to shoot non-white suspects. It's time to take the foot off the race pedal and place it on training and tactics so real reforms can be made, so the cities can stop burning and we can stop killing each other. In the wake of the Floyd turmoil, Chicago saw 18 murders in 24 hours, the most violent day in that city's 60 years. Who do you think the victims were? So media peers, why don't we all head to a Holiday Inn Express conference room and face the facts, literally? I'll even spring for the room. So, Dana, the media has absolutely no idea how to police itself when it comes to this story, yet they demand that they believe they can police the police. This really frightens me.
So, first of all, I want to know if you're going to have pastries in the room at the Holiday Inn Express, because if so, we will make sure
Yes.
we are there. Another
Well, I know
thing
Juan
is,
loves
there
his
is
sweets.
the meat. He does. He loves the
Indeed.
cookies. I do think that we know that the media does follow stories like this, and especially if there's fire, right? But I also think that there's another angle here, and that is the social media angle. And that is also, I think, fueling things that maybe even the traditional media doesn't understand or see, that they're late to it. And I think that was one of the things you heard from the protesters, especially. They're saying, like, we've been talking about this for years, and it took a video for you to believe us. Now, on the good news side of things, on the things that you mentioned in terms of training and tactics, in the legislation that Senator Tim Scott has been working on, and I think there's some bipartisan support on it, they have things like dealing with accountability, training, transparency, de-escalation issues, no-knock warrants issues, those types of concrete things, so that perhaps if we all focus on helping this legislation get across the finish line, we would have done a good service for the country.
Yeah. Juan, it seems like whenever I turn on CNN, which is rarely, they're trying to incite a race war. It seems like this is something that is their profit center, and it's very disturbing.
Well, I hope there's no race war coming. I think that, you know, what I just want to respond to what you were saying, because I found it interesting, Greg. To my mind, I think that what we have is, you know, and I've said this to you before, I think the police unions, a lot of those contracts that the politicians sign on to are really the root cause here, because they protect bad police officers, and I don't think that's in anybody's interest. I think we should not have a situation where the guy leading on Floyd's neck had, you know, repeated complaints, and he's back on, not only back on the force, he's back on the street. We've heard this from the Minneapolis police chief, et cetera. But I also think when you speak about malfeasance, I think it's important to highlight malfeasance, and the media should do it, because I think people who've not had voice, people who've been ignored in terms of, you know, pre-video complaints about abusive police behavior, if they see that, in fact, the media reflects their reality, they feel better. They feel like, you know what, society is responding, the power structure will respond, and that's how you get change. That's how you get reform. The best of media is when media, as they say, you know, afflicts the comfortable and comforts the afflicted. So I think in this case, yeah, raise a ruckus, let people see what's going on, and let's have some reform.
All right. I agree with the reform, but Dagan, if we rely on these videos without context of the stats, this will never end. If we only choose specific incidents and overlook others, like the Tony Timpas of the world, then you're going to get a distorted view of a reality.
Right. The Tony Timpas incident raises what I was talking about earlier, is how well-equipped police officers are to deal with the mentally ill. And just even from personal experience, it can be really horrific. But I want to single out another bastion of liberalism, not CNN, but the technology world. Because if you're going to change black lives in the United States, you've got to basically increase prosperity, more job security, more wealth. People who are not financially vulnerable in an economic downturn. The unemployment rate tripled from February to May, and it was actually for black Americans going up. So I'm going to call out Apple and Tim Cook, because he's always very quick to quote Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in response to, say, George Floyd's death. But here's where Apple's stats were in just a couple of years ago in 2018. A percentage of America, 13% of the U.S. population is black. U.S. Apple employs overall 9%. In just technology jobs, 6%. Leadership, 3%. Look at Google. They want to tell you what to do. How about going into high schools and hiring young black people and training them in areas where there aren't opportunities? At Google, less than 4% of the workforce are black Americans. Leadership, under 3%. That's disgraceful. Stop talking, start walking.
All right, Jesse, last word. Can the media change itself? Can it police itself?
Greg is an expert in human behavior and group psychology, and as a seasoned veteran of political commentary and media analysis, I would say that people just can't be persuaded with facts and logic and statistics. This country is run by feelings. I mean, you can look at the Russia thing. People still think Trump's a Russian spy. Even after 3 years of us pointing it out that it's false, they still believe it. So you're not going to change people's minds with all your beautiful logic, Gutfeld. It's got to be done through feelings. And if a majority of the country feel like this is a racist country and there's racist police brutalizing black America, well, then those feelings become a reality. So unfortunately, you're just going to have to change people's perceptions and feelings, because then we can figure out the facts later, because they're not listening to the facts.
All right, then. Well, that's a dark way to end this segment, Jesse.